calibration process is an important piece of the whole overall process. Can you explain what it is?
Well, it's somewhat new to the organization.
And it's
right?
a fancy word.
It's a fancy word. A lot of people don't know what it means. But really our attempt with calibration is to make sure that ratings are applied consistently across departments, schools, and organizations.
Okay.
So ultimately, we want all employees to get fair and accurate evaluations.
Sure.
That's our ultimate goal. So the calibration process is really a conversation between managers at a more senior level about whether or not
looking at the ratings across an organization to make sure that they're applied consistently.
They're being interpreted and applied consistently.
Okay. So when does it take place? Because I know it's part of the flow, but it may not be quite obvious to an individual when it takes place.
That's right, because the software doesn't dictate.
Again, the software is the tool, but the process is really the most important. So where in the flow does this take place?
It takes place at step 7. So when you
so the reviewer has access to the form?
Yes, the reviewer, the form is sitting with the reviewer at this point.
Okay.
And what will normally happen is that at an organizational level, at a higher level in the organization, all the managers, or some subset of the managers, would end up getting together with all of the employee evaluations across the organization. And again, they're going to look for what we call outliers. They're going to look for things that, if this group is performing really, really well, well, they should have some, some good statistics there. And if they're not performing well, they shouldn't have a bunch of 5s. So they're looking for those kinds of things, right? And again, we had a conversation at one point about sort of superstars. Normally when people stand out in an organization, they're going to stand out, and everybody knows about it.
Right.
So again, that shouldn't be surprises. So
right.
you're not going to see a lot of 1s, and you're not going to see a lot of 5s. You're going to see something more, more in that middle range, and that's sort of what you're looking for.
Great.
So does it make sense?
Does it make sense?
Makes sense,
yeah,
right?
That's a good way of putting it. And I know a lot of folks in the field over the last year talk about it as just a way to lower ratings. Can you explain how calibration is neither intended to lower or to raise, though both things may take place in the process?
Correct.
That's correct, right. Again, our ultimate goal is to make sure that employees have fair and accurate evaluations.
Right.
So we want to make sure that the ratings are being applied in a consistent manner. Okay, and that's the purpose of the calibration conversation. So we look at organizations and schools, and we can say, oh, wait a minute, this individual is a manager who has 6 direct reports and they all got 5s.
Right.
Is that possible? Is that conceivable? Is it realistic? Well, it may be possible.
It may be,
sure,
but it might require further analysis.
But it might, that's right.
Okay.
So it's an opportunity to look into, is in fact all of those.
Or if a manager has a whole bunch of 2s and it seems to be a pretty well-functioning team, maybe they've just used a lower kind of frame of reference.
That's correct.
And then okay, so sounds to me like the advantage of calibration is you've got of course, the employee self-assessment piece, then the manager's evaluation, then a reviewer's eye on the form, and a process in place organizationally, and it'll vary organization to organization, where different eyes are on the data. So it sounds like a dramatic improvement to an old paper process where sometimes you might only have 1 or 2 people at most giving a cursory glance.
Well, we certainly hope that's the case. And Brian, I think you hit on something that's really important. It's really up to the individual schools and units to determine where calibration is appropriate in their organizations.
Sure.
We have some schools that are huge, and we have others that are quite small. So we're not dictating that. We have recommendations. We'd be happy to talk to people about that. But ultimately, it's their call, because they know their organization the best.
Excellent.